All right, in this video, I want to talk about the section of discovery groups in obeying God's word. We don't just want to be hearers of the word, we want to be doers of the word. And this is where our Bible study becomes more personal. It can be very easy to talk about the Bible, talk about, hey, when was that book written? Who wrote it? What is the main point of that passage? What does the Greek and Hebrew mean? And all this, that, and the other. Sometimes people are very good talking about those things, and yet they struggle to apply it. They struggle to talk about where their lives are falling short of God's word. Where they need to be shaped by it. And so this can be a little bit harder to do. It's often something that it takes a little bit of time for people in group to get comfortable with, and also just to see how God's word is to shape them. It's also one of the, I think this is such a key element to our groups and what we're trying to do. We're not just talking about the Bible, but we want to talk about our lives. We want to bring others into what God is doing in us. We want to bring others into where we need to be shaped by who God is. And this is a way to do that. It does require a degree of vulnerability. When you talk about what you need to obey, it often implies that you have not been doing something you should be doing, or perhaps you were doing something you shouldn't be doing. And so it takes a degree of trust in the group to talk about that. It takes a degree of humility to say that you don't have it all together. And these are some of the things that people in our society today most need. People are struggling, they are hurting, and they often feel that they just can't talk about those things. So where you can read God's word and talk about what it means, and then also share how it bears upon your life. It is an incredibly rich time. I remember one time in group, we were going through Genesis 1. We were looking at God creating the world and bringing life and order and goodness to it. And then we got to it also talks about how we're to image and reflect him. Well, when it got to the obey part, one of the guys just said, you know what? I think I need to be more kind to my kids. I've been being harsh. I haven't been viewing my role as a role of blessing them. And I want to bless them. I want to be good to them. I think I'm just going to take them out and get ice cream and tell them that I want to be more like God. Wow, that was an incredible time. And all the guys in that group, we heard that and we thought, man, that is such a great application. You know, I want to do something similar. And so as we hear people taking it to heart and applying it, it can spur us on. So it can be really neat what happens there, but it took somebody being vulnerable and opening up. It was also neat as we talked about obeying that. It came into our sharing portion as well. Who else might need to hear this? Well, what father doesn't at times get frustrated with his kids and need some encouragement to be kind and to be a blessing? And so we all shared that we wanted to do that. That was an action step that we all wanted to take. Well, we also found ways that we could share with other dads what we were doing, why we were doing it. So it was a really neat time that connected the dots in a lot of ways. So give thought to this question. Give thought to the passage and how it might apply to you. Be willing to be vulnerable, to talk about the things that you're believing that you shouldn't believe, the lies that Satan is getting in there, and share those. This can be a powerful time for your group to see, wait a minute, these people, they're not just talking about the Bible, they're serious in following it. That's what a follower of Christ should be doing. Should be following Jesus. So let's talk about that. Sometimes in groups, we try and push for more specificity in what to do because we can have very vague things that don't tell us a whole lot. We may say, Bob, what do you need to do this week? Well, I just need to trust God. Okay, great. Bob's going to trust God. But when we press into that, hey, Bob, what does it look like to trust you? Then it may begin to see, well, he found out he has cancer and he has to trust God as he goes and does chemo. Or it may be that he's been lying at work and now he's got to trust God and be forthright in what he's been doing, and that's a completely different situation. It might just be he needs to trust God, and that means being more patient and loving with his wife and kids when he gets home. So it's good to press for some specificity in there and maybe ask the question, hey, if you were to do that this week, what would it look like? People in the business world often hear of SMART goals. SMART are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Sometimes we'll talk through that and just be like, hey guys, let's have something that we can really know if you got this done. Some people have asked the question, it's like, hey, how can you respond to this? What should you do in the next 24 to 48 hours to respond to this? Just getting specific things. Again, there's not a secret formula that makes that allows everybody to do it effectively, but those are things to push for, just to have meaningful relationships, being meaningful encouragements in one another. It does require knowing certain things, and so that's a way to get at it. That's a way to talk about the action steps that you might be. Action steps can be a little bit not more non-threatening than some of the others, but it can also be something that it can stay vague if the facilitators don't push for a little more clarity. And you just need to know where to push and ask more questions and when to just let things go. Again, you're trying to meet people where they're at and also trying to encourage them where you want to help them get to. It's a balancing act. You may ask questions sometimes and you may not ask them in other times, but just be encouraging the group to be specific as they hear some of those specific things, and as it grows them in, you may hear others in the group asking those questions. Hey, Joe, you said that you just need to be faithful this week. What does that mean? What does it look like? That's when you see groups starting to grow together, grow in their walk with the Lord, and you see them owning their part in the group as well. So be sure to talk about action steps. Be sure that you give a good answer to that you're helping lead the way in it, and you're helping others go deeper in it.